Okay, I'm here again. Wow, amazing. 2 videos in one day. So, I decided that I would go back and do a commentary thing on Valley of Heroes. Let's talk about Valley of Heroes. First of all, this series and all of the other ones that I made during, I guess, like, it was what, like, 2007 through, like, 2010? So yeah, that was, like, this and Leaf and those, like, 5 other series that I freaking had and canceled. But yeah, all those, I just, like, went with it. I just made it up as I went along. I didn't make a storyboard or think out the entire story and, like, how everything would tie together. I didn't make a plot summary for any episodes or anything. I just animated and went with the flow, and that's why it makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I had a basic storyline. I don't even know if I did. Like, I made this forever ago. I don't even remember what the point of half of it was, so I can't even defend myself anymore. So that's why we're gonna go back and we're basically going to bash on my series, because I don't know what I was doing, and nobody else knows what I was doing. It doesn't make any sense, so yeah, there's like a lot of holes in the plot, and like a lot of things that were left completely unexplained, and I don't know why. I don't remember why, and I don't remember why they were even there. So yeah, we're just gonna go through and just talk about this shit. And I know I've been sounding really pessimistic about the series and stuff, about how I, like, freaking hate it and it's crappy and whatever, but I mean, I guess I don't really want to go back and fix everything, and there's so many holes in the plot, and it's like, I don't know, I feel like it doesn't make sense at all, and it moves really, like, way too fast, and like, a lot of things were left out and unexplained, and nothing ties together, or I guess some of it does. I don't know. It's like, it's okay, but it's definitely not one of the best things I've done, and I don't want to go back and revise it, and I don't want to, like, do what I did with Leaf and, like, take everything and revise it and also reanimate it, because it would take forever. I mean, Leaf has already taken me forever, and those episodes were actually really short, and I mean, the beginning ones were too in this series, but yeah, I don't want to go back and fix everything, because, like, with all the things that I left out, if I went back and, like, made everything die together, it would end up being a lot longer, and I want to keep it short and just be done with it. So yeah, here we go. Okay, so we're gonna start and watch the opening and explain why it doesn't make any sense either. Angel of Darkness. Okay, so yeah, besides the animation being really shitty and it's from 2008, the first scene actually makes sense because it shows characters that are actually in the series, which is Manjo and Hakai. And blah blah, we have some animations about Midnight and I guess some plot. I don't freaking know what's going on right now. But then we get here and it makes no sense because, oh, is that a human hand? There are no humans in the series apparently. And this Yorkie is completely unrelated. He doesn't come in ever, neither does this scene. I don't really know why it's there. Just filler, I guess, even though it, just why. And here where Midnight was crying was supposed to be, I think I remember telling somebody that Alit was going to die, and that's why she's crying. But Alit doesn't die, so I don't know why she's crying. And then the characters blah blah blah. Episode 1 of this shithole. Okay, first scene of the entire series already doesn't make sense. So Midnight's running, and so far we don't know why she's running or who she's running from, or where she is. Okay, surprise, it's some brown dog, which is actually supposed to be Manjo, I guess, but I guess later in the series I tried to redeem myself with this scene and made Midnight explain that they found him again or something to get her revenge, and they dealt him a few scars or whatever she said, but it still would make sense that he's randomly chasing her and not the others. They weren't with her. She was just by herself running, and that it doesn't make any sense, because if they found him and they attacked him, then it just... What? Why? Also, they're in a box, which is apparently gigantic, because, I mean, look at it. It was very tiny from the outside, and now it is huge. There's also no explanation of where they are ever in the series. Like, this series has no concept of time or place at any point in the series. Okay, and then Sandy dug a tunnel to the sewers, I guess, to get them out of this situation, or something, and they're racing, and they go, and they get out of the sewers, and boom, they see Manjo again, which now has hair. Apparently it's the same guy, even though in the beginning he had a different design. But hey, it's all good, right? And so they beat the shit out of this giant mud thing with, like, no motive to attacking him. That is explained in this episode. Which it would have made more sense if I would have explained everything in the first episode, because, you know, that's the usual thing. You explain the history behind what's going on in the early episodes, so the story can move forward instead of moving backwards in the rest of the series, but, yeah, no, it didn't do that. And, then Windrunner appears out of nowhere, and there's a fox in the sewers. That's good, right? And then we come to episode 2. So this part's all good. They meet the fox, and this is probably the only time in the entire series that a character, upon meeting the heroes, says, "Hello, my name is," whatever their name is. Literally, names are never used in this freaking series. I have noticed that as I've gone back and watched it. They just automatically know their names, apparently. I don't know. But still, it makes no sense because they're like, "Hey, Windrunner, you want to join us?" And she's like, "Okay," but they don't say why, and they don't say where they're going or what they're doing. Yeah. So they meet the cat, who actually explains a little bit about Sinbad. Then they chase him down. I don't really know why they decided to do that, but yeah. And they get his name. Oh, names. And then they find Chip, like, dead in the street. And they wake him up. And then him and Sinbad actually have some character development. Oh my god, they're characters that fight all the time. Wow, amazing. And then they ask them to join them. Still don't explain what they're doing, where they're going, or anything. They're just like, "Hey, you want to come with us? We look like a posse, so you should join us." And then they do. Yay. Okay, this episode has a techno remix at the opening song for some reason. Okay, maybe I was wrong when I said there was no concept of where they were, because, I mean, they were in a sewer. They were in some kind of grassy place. They went through a sewer, and they ended up on the street, and I guess this is the street that they ended up on. We're in a neighborhood now. I really made this episode pretty much just to have an episode for Sandy, because, I don't know, even though the series is, like, just beginning, I was like, oh, Sandy's not getting enough attention. It's mostly about Midnight and Olive, I guess. I don't really know. But, yeah, so she finds Wind in here. We have a character introduction. Manjo is randomly attacking him in this neighborhood, and he's pissed about it. And then Manjo beats Sandy's ass, and everybody's freaking out, and whatever, and then they just leave her. Yeah, if I had to summarize episode 3, I think that scene would pretty much be it. Okay, so these guys are still pissed off that they had to leave Sandy. I have no idea what the fuck is going on right here. Apparently Wind is supposed to already know Midnight, but I'd never really explained that besides her saying it in, like, a background scene in the next episode. But yeah, he never introduces himself either. I never scripted that in. They just automatically know his name. And then Ginger comes in and saves the day, and actually introduces herself as Ginger. Okay, so Sandy ends up staying with Ginger. I mean, once she got lost, it took them like 2 episodes to find her again. Okay, we're still over here being worried. Now they are no longer in the neighborhood place. They're in the forest or something near the forest, I guess. And this is where Midnight mentions that she has been knowing Wind since she was a pup. And that is the only history we get behind that. And we meet Shiluki. And they meet up with everybody else who, like, magically disappeared between episode 2 and 3. And then everybody splits up to go find Sandy. So Shiluki was a spy. She's a runner for Manjo. Wow, character who is actually explained. And then Manjo kicks her out. And we also learn that Chip apparently knows Ginger. This was another scene that I made to redeem myself in the previous episodes that made no sense, because I tried to explain why Chip was just lying in the road. But he didn't have any blood or anything on him, so apparently he got hit by a car, survived, and also came out of it, like, unscathed. This series is just full of scenes that I made to cover my ass. I did this scene where Windrunner got captured because I actually forgot to animate her in with the rest of the group. I remember I was really proud of this cliffhanger, because I was like, ooh, wow, suspense. And you'd think it would be an important part of the plot. But alas, I have no idea why this episode is called Backtrack. Okay, so big cliffhanger was they just found a dude who's in the river who looks like he's dead. Oh shit. So they wake him up, and he's like, who are you? And they introduce themselves, and that is all we get from this scene. It just bugs me so much that this scene is just left, like, completely unexplained. He was out in the river, looking like he was dead. He was bleeding out. And he never says what happened to him, and they never go and figure out what happened to him. Nope, they just drop it. Oh, he was dying. Oh well. And Win shows up and doesn't even care that there's like a dead guy in front of them. He's just like, we gotta step up pace and we gotta do it now. And then I started animating in Flash, and for some reason, my style, like, took 30 steps backwards, and I don't even know what this is. I mean, this is gross. Aside from the art being completely disgusting, I guess the rest of this episode kind of makes sense. We have a scene back with Sandy, she's in Ginger's house, we meet Itsuki, who is also introduced and explained. Hallelujah. Because this is the first episode that I actually started making storyboards for the whole thing. So there's like a plan for the episode, and it's not just randomly happening and nothing is making sense. So the rest of this kind of has a flow to it. And this is where I decided that I wanted to develop a romance between Reaper and Midnight. Woohoo! But this is where everything starts to not make sense again. So he's like, I have nightmares and I can't sleep, but they're keeping watch for the night together. Oh, how cute. So actually, the reason this planet is another planet and also has 3 moons is because I had 3 cool moon brushes in GIMP. So I was like, I'm gonna make this a whole nother planet, and I'm gonna have 3 moons, and I'm gonna use these moon brushes. And there was no other reason for it. Besides, I think the reason I also did that is because I didn't want to draw humans. So I made them on another planet where they were only furries. Incredible. So also, Midnight asks, hey, did Manjo attack you? And he says no. And again, they just drop it. She doesn't ask who it was, or what he remembers. No. It wasn't Manjo? Okay, I don't care. And finally, we're on the frickin' 5th episode of the series, and we finally understand why all of this is happening, and why they hate Manjo, and why Manjo hates them. And, yeah, and we finally get some history, 5 episodes into the series. Wow. I am also amazed at my creativity. Of course, he kills her parents, and now she wants revenge. I have never heard that one before. I would also like to point out that Reaper still hasn't said his name. Okay, and the episode ends, and they all go and look for Sandy again. Woohoo. Big adventure. And this freaking run cycle pisses me off so much. It is disgusting. So yeah, that was basically Valley of Heroes in a nutshell. So yeah, so far it has not made much sense, and it will probably continue to not make much sense. The next episode has a big plot twist that is like completely out of the blue. So yeah, I think a good plot summary of Valley of Heroes would be what's going on.